joy in taking care of plants at the beginning of this lockdown. And ever since then, one of my sources of therapy. So, I'm a mom to a human, and I guess to some plants. And my journey with taking care of these guys started early during the lockdown, and it started with one lone ZZ plant that was just on the corner back there, and in fact it was root bound. And I had this space set up for plants, but I wasn't into plants. I gave it a shot a couple of years ago, and even some succulents and cactus failed. I failed them. But when I was curious enough to join a community of plant lovers here in our village, I started with a vegetable pack and some seeds, and it didn't really go well. But a part of me wanted to tell myself that I'm not that much of a brown thumb. Like, I wanted to convince myself that I could do this. And it started one day when someone was asking for some Pothos cuttings. So these are Pothos, and I decided I'll start with that. I don't know, it sounds cool to propagate plants in water when I read about it more. And I got my first cuttings from the group, and I propagated them in water. As you see here, some I kept in water, and then as they grew and grew with each new leaf, I got so excited. So with what I had, I propagated even more, and I started my first group of plants now in soil, growing and hopefully cascading over this little balcony. So this is my space. This has become my space. This small, shabby area of sunlight has become my self-care space. And ever since I started with one cutting, and then a friend gave me another cutting, and I traded cuttings with another friend, and I guess my plant collection grew and grew, and until one day some good friends of mine decided to go on a plant road trip, and I figured I'll just be the driver. I'm not even gonna bring cash, and I wanted to just drive and accompany them. And when I was there, I figured I'm probably gonna take something home, and I did. It was this banana succulent and a cactus behind me, and a caladium that's currently elsewhere because the sunlight here becomes too harsh. And ever since then, I just read about it and cultivated what I had, my small collection back then. And I mean, I still think this is a small collection. And I just grew and grew, and as uncanny as it sounds, I did learn a lot about plants as I grew with them, alongside them, and I really see that I am growing alongside these guys. And there's something about tending to a living thing, taking care of a living being, that brings a sense of goodness and joy and pride. And don't get me wrong, I love taking care of my son, and that's a different story. He is the joy and love of my life. He is the joy of my life, and these plants have been supplements, I guess. You could say it that way. They have been supplements to my self-care routine. So I start my day by coming here to this space, and this is where I have my quiet time. This is where I pray, and I learn to pray alongside these guys. And I'd like to think that the good Lord speaks to me also through them, through taking care of them. There's something about partaking in sharing of the experience of creation. So the growth of each new leaf or a new root that you see that wasn't there the day before, it brings a healing component. It participates in the process of my self-care and healing. So I'm also a little bit into sustainability, so I turned some plastic bottles into some self-watering planters, and I didn't think it was gonna work, but it did, and I'm growing some lemons and tomatoes, and one day it will bear fruit. And I don't think there's anything more directly, like the similarities about plants and their fruit-bearing properties goes side by side with the spirit and the fruits that you bear within yourself. It's very much parallel. Don't get me started about the roots, When plants have problems, you can see it in their leaves, and they're maybe a little more obvious than people, but the process of bringing into the surface and figuring out the problem is the same. You go to the root, you shake off the dust, you get your hands dirty. And it's not as bad as it seems. And I will say that taking care of plants and figuring them out, trial and error, does give me strength and courage to do that with myself and the people around me who I love, who need some support of figuring things out. Coming into the new normal is just so different. It's even more different when you are directly affected by this pandemic. With each new normal is a new layer of being with life, but being surrounded by these plants and taking care of these plants, they've really helped me cope. And with that, I also am into painting, so I started painting pots. I have some here, fresh from yesterday, and there's something about painting onto something that's a little more functional that really also makes me feel good. Just being able to express anything. No one's dictating what I should paint. They're planters. They're not like masterpieces. They're just fun things for plants and for plant people. And it's I would even say exhilarating to be able to express myself through the planters, through the plants. You reap what you sow. When you take care of the things that you care for, they take care of you. So that does something to a person. That does something to your spirit when you are cooperating in the process of creation. You're not creating anything. All things, all living things come from the good Lord. But when you're an usher to bringing life, when you partake in helping that process, it also brings life within you. As maybe cheesy as that sounds, it's very real to me that being able to take care of these guys, they take care of me too. I believe that. So many people have said that it's been so therapeutic to take care of plants. And I think it's because you're just co-living with another living thing that is is partially reliant on you to give them water, soil, a good spot under the sun. And nature takes its course, and when you are a collaborator with that, it brings life to you, brings you strength, brings you excitement, brings you hope. I mean, having a place full of plants, they always say it livens the place up because it's alive. And when you support that, when you take care of that, you take care of the life that's yours. You learn also to apply to yourself and the people that you love what it means to care for something else.